I was just going to say, should we talk about our boy Bernie?
Yeah,
There's some news there.
There is. Where should we start with our Bernie update today? Should we talk about the main headline?
Let's talk about the main headline, and we could talk about why that energy is worthwhile bringing back. But for folks who didn't see, this is just sort of breaking this afternoon, and these things are sort of leaked, undisclosed sources things. But effectively, Bernie Sanders, a confidant of his, said that if Biden does not run in the next cycle, that Bernie Sanders very likely will throw his hat in the ring for yet another attempt at trying to win the presidency. And it's interesting because I will be honest, I didn't think that was really even an option, something that he was seriously considering. We're still ways out too, but I'll tell y'all, we're looking at what's very likely to be a complete trouncing of the Democratic Party in the midterms coming up later this year. So, the board is not yet set. So it will be interesting to see what happens, in the near future regarding that.
Well, that's where this news came from. So there's this article here, and a few people have reported on it, but Bernie Sanders' team says he's has not ruled out a 2024 bid if Biden doesn't run. Which is unlike what the based move he made back in. He said Obama should be primaried, even if he wants it. But anyway, that he got hit on in 2016. But anyway, this news comes from a memo put out by Faiz Shakir, a former campaign manager for Bernie. And it's in the context of a few things. One is like what you mentioned about the upcoming elections, which is that Democrats are getting shellacked by particularly like young voters. And just a pure political calculation is it'd be good for the Democratic Party if Bernie ran again, honestly, if that's something you cared about, because they don't have anybody that is speaking to these sorts of folks, and Biden's underwater with the youth, and the other interesting thing about this is it's a memo of advice for candidates who have previously supported Bernie or who Bernie has endorsed, and it's telling them that when the corporate money comes around and says and it attacks you for having supported Bernie, you should embrace it and lean into it and wear it as a badge of honor, which I really like. I don't know how this doesn't work any other way at this point if we're already running from Bernie previously. So that's the context here.
Yeah, and strategically, we've talked a lot about this because I've said this and I still believe it, that I think that Democratic socialists need to be thinking a bit differently than worrying so much about the office of the presidency, because remembering what the real advantages of those two moments, both in 2016 and 2020, was like uniting and bringing together a lot of people with a shared vision, and the hope was that would sort of turn into some kind of stronger organization for left and working class politics in this country. And, I've been critical of Bernie because I don't think that he's done enough, in my opinion, to build that. All the criticism doesn't fall solely on his shoulders, but I think that a lot more could and should be done regarding building a kind of independent and strong working class and socialist movement and organization in particular in this country. But that being said, I'll go for it again. I'll go for it for a third round because just sort of loosely, one of the reasons that I've been sort of hard on people who have been really trying to push we need to figure out like some new character to sort of bring in as our like big candidate to rally around in that 2024 cycle, is that one, I haven't seen much from the bench that really inspires a lot of confidence. I think, Bernie Sanders running and sort of holding up the progressive mantle, even if might not look like it's going to be successful, is worthwhile, if anything, if it sort of blocks this movement from sort of being funneled every different direction into people like Ro Khanna or, a Jayapal or people like that, which I think would be absolutely disastrous for this movement. Because, one of the things that's really important about the Bernie Sanders movement and what's come out of it is that it's been socialist, and I think that a real disaster would happen if you had a kind of fracture between a kind of like progressive wing of capital and basically trying to figure out which of the progressive capitalists people want to be supporting. I think, Bernie running would sort of preclude that fracturing, or at least would show to any of the people who are sort of leaving and trying to take other people with them that they were never really interested in this project from the get-go, right? So I think that that's super helpful. And also, I mean, no one brings the energy and the clarity of Bernie Sanders yet on the national level. I don't know if you have this clip handy, Matt. But this is just like the kind of thing we want to be seeing much, much more. And the thing was, when Bernie Sanders is running for president, he gets a lot more eyes on these kind of statements that he's out here making.
Yeah, and this is just Bernie today in a committee.
When we talk about why the American people are angry, why, among other things, we're seeing a spurt in the growth of trade unionism in this country, it has a lot to do with the fact that CEOs in large corporations now make 350 times more than their average workers. In addition to that, they receive stock options, golden parachutes, and a wide range of perks go to the CEOs. And meanwhile, working families are struggling to pay their bills, to feed their kids, to take a few weeks vacation, and to save up for retirement. So what we are seeing now is more income and wealth inequality in this country than we have seen in 100 years. And this is an issue that if nobody else wants to talk about, we will talk about in this committee.
There you go.
No, I mean, totally. And let me share this as well with y'all, because, Bernie has continued, as he always has, to be consistent on these things. This is from earlier this morning. Chris Small tweeting out, breaking news, Bernie Sanders is coming to New York City to visit Amazon Labor and the workers of Amazon this Sunday. I can't point to another politician who was willing not only to sort of, show up in this way, but to do it in a way that is really trying to bring power and deliver it to the people, rather than just sort of, standing in front of these kind of movements. The Bernie Sanders, campaign really brought a lot of people into politics, but it brought them into politics in a way where we were sort of responsible for participating and creating something on our own, rather than everyone just sort of having to fall in line behind Bernie. And I'll tell you right now that if you get one of these other kind of progressive capitalist characters in that position, they will sort of demand that kind of conformity that Bernie Sanders has it.
Yeah, can you go back to that tweet? I just want to see, somebody was trying to tattletale on Smalls. Here's what you said. I just want to see what that worm was saying.
Sure.
Yeah. So Peters, whatever, says, hope the visit helps build solidarity as you prepare to bargain your first contract. That said, here's what I said. Here's what I said after your big win. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought that was what does he say?
Don't let it be co-opted by any politicians looking for a piece of your limelight.
Okay, fair enough. That's a fair enough point. I thought that was trying to say you went after AOC. After
oh no.
So good. Okay, that was fine then. False alarm. I should have gone after that guy.
And I think we'll talk about Smalls a little bit later, with Elias, maybe talking a little bit about what's going on with him and AOC and the Tucker Carlson thing. But Look, I mean, the thing is, I don't want to sound like I'm not excited about a 2024 Bernie run, because, again, I think that puts us in the strongest position to, gain some victories in that period. But I don't think that, even if he does run, that changes the landscape for what we need to be doing. Because as I've said time and time again, Bernie would always make this point that if he did come into power, we would need to have, very strong and mobilized base to basically challenge the state. And, again, I've been telling socialists in particular to really start taking state power seriously and understanding that, winning an election in itself is only the first step in any kind of revolutionary project. And because we're so far from it, sometimes I feel like people don't engage with what success would actually
Yeah.
need, what we would actually need to be successful within the state. But this is the time right now to start building up our capability and capacity, so that all of these kind of internal structures that exist within, it's not unique to America, but within the American state, that will be completely hostile to even a kind of mild program that Bernie would probably put forward. We need to start building up those capacities, right? And it's the same tactic and the same need if Bernie doesn't run in 2024. So, while like, again, I'm stoked. I think at least for people who feel like they really need to have a kind of presidential figurehead for these things to matter, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. But if that sort of assuages, and calms and whets the appetite of people who feel like they need that, I think that's great, because it settles the question, and then we can start thinking more seriously about like the on the ground struggle that will be necessary if we ever want to see any kind of left success in this country.